Let's study Matthew chapter 1 together.
The New Testament, the book of Matthew, chapter 1, the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham.
So right off the bat, Matthew tells us that he has given us the generation or lineage of Jesus. He calls him the son of David, which fulfills prophecy and indicates his royal nature, and the son of Abraham, which should tell the Jews that he is also a Jew.
Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Judah and his brethren. And Judah begat Perez and Zerah of Tamar, and Perez begat Hezron, and Hezron begat Ram, and Ram begat Amminadab, and Amminadab begat Nahshon, and Nahshon begat Salmon, and Salmon begat Boaz of Rahab, and Boaz begat Obed of Ruth.
So I don't know a lot about all these names, but what I do know about Salmon and Rahab. So Rahab was Rahab the harlot from the Bible, and Salmon married Rahab the harlot and had a son, Boaz. Then Boaz is the one who married Ruth, who was a Moabite that you can read about in the book of Ruth, and they had Obed. Then Obed has Jesse, and Jesse has King David.
And Obed begat Jesse, and Jesse begat David the king. And David begat Solomon of her that had been the wife of Uriah. And Solomon begat Rehoboam.
So that's obviously Bathsheba. So Solomon married Bathsheba, and you can read about how strange that situation was in the Old Testament. But I think it just points out how you can have unlikely characters in the lineage of Jesus. It's not like Jesus has to come from pure descent where people are just model citizens. You've got a Moabite in Ruth, and you've got a harlot in Rahab, and you've got Solomon coming from David marrying someone who essentially killed her husband and took his wife.
And Rehoboam begat Abijah, and Abijah begat Asa, and Asa begat Jehoshaphat, and Jehoshaphat begat Joram.
So all these descendants after David are essentially a list of the kings of Judah, because it was David's lineage that became the kings of Judah. So we're listing the kings of Judah as well as the lineage of Jesus Christ at the same time.
Joram begat Uzziah, and Uzziah begat Jotham, and Jotham begat Ahaz, and Ahaz begat Hezekiah, and Hezekiah begat Manasseh, and Manasseh begat Amon, and Amon begat Josiah, and Josiah begat Jeconiah and his brethren at the time of the carrying away to Babylon. And after the carrying away to Babylon, Jeconiah begat Shealtiel, and Shealtiel begat Zerubbabel, and Zerubbabel begat Abiud, and Abiud begat Eliakim, and Eliakim begat Azor, and Azor begat Sadok, and Sadok begat Achim, and Achim begat Eliud, and Eliud begat Eleazar, and Eleazar begat Mathan, and Mathan begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Joseph the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who is called Christ. So all the generations from Abraham unto David are 14 generations, and from David unto the carrying away to Babylon 14 generations, and from the carrying away to Babylon unto the Christ 14 generations.
So here, if you write down all these names and look at the groups of 14, it doesn't come out exactly right. It's actually 14, 14, and 13. And I don't know what the explanation for that is. There's someone probably has a better explanation than me. I'm fine with it. Maybe the carrying away to Babylon around the time of Josiah or Jeconiah, maybe you count Jeconiah twice because he was both before and after the carrying away of Babylon or something like that, but it's not critical to me. But it is very interesting that these significant periods of time are essentially 14 generations for these groups of time. And I think that means something. Maybe God has planned out a certain amount of time or a certain number of generations between big events. And he may still do that or not. I'm not sure.
Now the birth of Jesus Christ was on this wise. When his mother Mary had been betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Spirit. And
now, Mary being found with child of the Holy Spirit, this is debatable for some people about how this actually happened. I believe that the Holy Spirit just put the child in her womb. There's, I guess, other people that would actually claim that there were physical relations between the Holy Spirit and Mary where the child was conceived, but I don't believe that they were physical relations. I believe it was just miraculously input into her womb.
Joseph, her husband, being a righteous man and not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privily.
So another point to what I was just talking about, I guess if there were physical relations, then Mary would no longer be a virgin. So since she was a virgin and Jesus was born to a virgin and the prophecy was to be born to a virgin, there could not be physical relations for the child to be conceived. The Holy Spirit just put Jesus in the womb, and there were no physical relations because she remained a virgin.
But when he thought on these things, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son of David, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus, for it is he that shall save his people from their sins.
And I noted in Luke chapter 1, there's another genealogy that is slightly different, but it's concerning Mary's lineage instead of Joseph's. And also in Luke chapter 1, the angel comes to Mary and tells her to name him Jesus. In Matthew chapter 1, the angel speaks to Joseph and tells him to name him Jesus.
Now all this has come to pass, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the Lord through the prophet, saying, Behold, the virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel.
So that verse comes from Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14.
Which is, being interpreted, God with us. And Joseph...
Now, I guess there's a little bit of an issue with why we name him Jesus when the prophecy says to name him Emmanuel. And Emmanuel means God with us. And I believe Jesus or Yeshua means God's salvation or something like that. So it's slightly different. So if you have any thoughts to add along those lines, please put it in the comments below.
Joseph arose from his sleep, and did as the angel of the Lord commanded him, and took unto him his wife, and knew her not till she had brought forth a son, and he called his name Jesus.